Dr. Richard Maponya has been honoured for his contribution to the township economy. This year's African Bank Enterprise and Supplier Development Annual Business Summit is held in commemoration of the late businessman, a co-founder of the institution. We are now joined by Edna Montse, who's African Bank Group Executive for Transformation and Stability, to talk a little bit about his legacy, but a lot as well about the township economy. Good evening to you, and thanks so much for joining us. Mr. Maponya was among the generation of original black entrepreneurs and business moguls, and certainly a source of inspiration for the generation that followed. Share with us some of the attributes that made him a natural choice for this honor and award.
Good evening to you and your audience. So for us, the African Bank is a bank that was founded by entrepreneurs right at the height of apartheid in 1964. One of our founding fathers is Dr. Richard Maponya, and so we really wanted to honor him by having our annual Enterprise and Supply Development Summit at Maponya Mall in remembrance of his contribution to entrepreneurship, but also to the African Bank. This is really for us quite a momentous occasion because we are celebrating not only township economy, but the really undying and resilient entrepreneurial spirit that our South Africans have.
The township economy, Edna, estimated value around 900 billion rand, 60% formal, the rest informal. It's a huge resource and a credible contribution to GDP at 5.2%. What can a bank like African Bank do to drive sustainable business in the country's townships?
African Bank has got a number of enterprise and supply development offerings in addition to our business banking offerings. So in an enterprise and development perspective, as African Bank, we do both financial and non-financial support. So we put programs on entrepreneurial development programs where we actually are developing not only their businesses, but also developing them as entrepreneurs. We also believe that for every stage of growth, you could be able to incubate and accelerate. And as such, we partner with like-minded organizations to see how we could together work with the entrepreneur such that they are able to focus on their why, really the purpose for the organization being there, and then also then be able to support them in terms of the other auxiliary and developmental areas before we can then say how do we then also do the funding aspect and assistance, both from an enterprise development funding, but also from a business banking funding.
Yeah, that's a really important one because often, the common refrain is problems around access to credit and access to markets. You're talking about incubating and accelerating. How scalable has that concept been in terms of really making an impact across the country?
We really have had great success as African Bank with our enterprise and supply development programs. To just give you an example, we had our inaugural summit in Tembisa last year. We also then had a youth-focused entrepreneurial summit in Atteridgeville earlier this year. And so what we had was we have got some entrepreneurs and micro-enterprises from Kasi as well as some from rural areas who formed part of our cohort. And when they then graduated post the 12-month period, not only did they report great changes in the organizations in terms of how they now restructured their businesses, understanding their business canvas and their why, but also furthermore understanding what their requirements are from an access to market perspective as well as a financing perspective. So we've really got some great successes. We've been able to give entrepreneurship grants as well to those enterprises that form part of this program. And so we are really now looking for opportunities to say, how do we do this on a larger scale? And we're piloting some programs within the township that are going to be able to assist us to say, now that we understand that there's a really great difference between these enterprises that operate in different markets, how do we tailor-make programs that answer to the township economy? And that's why we're at Maponya Mall in Soweto today and tomorrow.